My grandmother, on my biological father's side, had bought a new house. And apparently she had gotten it at a really good deal. As a kid, you really don't understand the financial side of buying a new house, but from what I knew, my grandmother really didn't have the means to be buying a new house. And we grew up on the lower class side of things. But this is on my biological father's side. When I talk about my dad, I'm talking about my stepdad, which is the one that raised me. My biological father, I only saw maybe once a year, once every 2 years. But my biological father had come and picked me up, spent some time with me, and we went over to this new house that my grandmother had bought. And I went inside and I felt like there was something there, but it wasn't like the other houses. It had an energy, but it didn't have that real negative energy. It didn't feel like a huge weight. It didn't feel like it was crushing me. But there was this hallway that led to the bathroom. And there was a closet on the left-hand side that had a curtain hanging up over it. When I walked down that hall, I felt like if I opened that curtain, there would be something inside looking at me. So obviously, I wasn't going to open that curtain. But I got a real uneasy feeling about walking down that hallway. Something felt strange in that hallway. Well, my biological father and I were in the bathroom washing our hands, getting ready for dinner, and I looked over and I noticed a stain on the wall that looked like it had been painted over. And I asked him what it was, and he kind of got uneasy and stammered over his words a little bit. And he said, "Well, it's mud." And being a kid, believing adults kind of looked like mud anyway, so I had no reason to not believe him. So we finished washing up, and we went and ate supper. And then nighttime came. And I was laying in the bed with my dad, my stepmom, my biological father, and my stepmom. And I could hear weird sounds. And they weren't normal nighttime sounds. I was laying there awake because my father had bought me a Ninja Turtle action figure, and I had wanted that Ninja Turtle for a long time, and I finally got it. It was Michelangelo, if you're wondering. And I was just laying there playing with that, really excited about having that. And you could hear things, and I could feel things. And my father always slept with a fan on. So these things I could hear were over a fan in the bedroom. And I just laid there listening, kind of feeling. And then I heard the piano play a couple of notes. Now this is late at night. Nobody's going to be in there playing that piano. especially my grandma or my grandpa. I started wondering what was going on, but in dealing with the things that I had dealt with before, I kind of already knew, and I had sort of already admitted that to myself. So the next day, I told my dad about it, my biological father. He kind of brushed it off, acted like he didn't know what was going on. But my stepmom, she told me a story about that house, that it was nighttime and she was headed to the bathroom. All the lights were off, and she went into the hallway and she reached out for the light switch to turn the light on so she could see down the hallway, and she felt long hair drag across her arm as she reached out, and kind of grazed over her forearm as she was reaching, like somebody had walked through her. And my stepmom, I had no reason to not believe. And I knew that strange things existed. I mean, come on, I played with gremlins that came out from under my bed. Anyway, later to find out, the reason my grandmother got this house for such a good deal was because it was actually a murder scene, and it didn't all get cleaned up after it was done, after the investigation was done and everything. Legend of it says, of course, there were only 2 people in the house when it happened, and one of them's dead. But the legend of the house says there was a brother and a sister that lived in this house. The brother was an alcoholic, and the sister, there was a spat between the two, and the sister went and poured out all of the alcohol that the brother had in the house. And he got angry and grabbed her by her hair and drug her all around the house, drug her down that hallway into the bathroom, threw her into the bathtub, and stabbed her to death. So the mud stain that was on the wall was actually blood that had been tried to get covered up, but the paint didn't do the job. When my grandmother moved into the house, she had to pick the girl's hair up off the floor. She had to clean up all of her hair from all around the house. So it's kind of obvious why she got it at a very good deal. I've been in there since my grandmother moved out. Nobody's lived in there since my grandmother moved, and you can still go to it to this day. It's all grown up, and it looks crazy creepy from the outside. But my friends and I have been there several times in our older age, and we've never heard it, but some people say if you go into that house, sometimes the piano still plays by itself.